Hello, are you out there? It's Mark with Redo Over, and we are back to Civ 4, Gal Civ 4. And I got to tell you, it's really one of my favorite parts of the week is making these videos. I do this and I do Master of Orion 2, where I actually have a costume and we get into role play. And not a lot of people watch them, but I really enjoy making them. It just makes playing the games that I already like to play just a little bit more fun when I get to pretend that I'm talking to you. And I feel like I'm always learning new things about the game because I'm thinking really hard about what's going on because I'm trying to describe it to you folks. So it's honestly really expanded my knowledge of, like, take the game Master of Orion 2, which was made back in the late 90s. And in the last year of me playing that game for this channel, I have learned so much more about the game. And I had owned a copy and played that game thousands of hours. But I highly recommend it. Make yourself a channel of you playing your favorite games and just really get into the mindset, and it'll take your play to the next level. So a couple of things. Borealis. Borealis, I found out, like spelled like here, yeah, Borealis. I think that's the only. It's Latin for northerly. Yeah. So Corona Borealis, right? The Aurora Borealis. There you go. Northerly in Latin. So we had a couple things going on. The Taurians, which are the turtle people, had come in and snatched this nice Class 21 amazing world out from underneath us. They didn't do anything wrong, but we'd grabbed this one because it's closer to our system, but we had not seen that this one was out there yet. Our probes hadn't detected it. However, they grabbed it, but because it's so much nearer to the core systems for us, our culture is going to flip this planet here in pretty short order. So if there's a couple things that we probably haven't looked at yet. If you just rest your mouse anywhere in a control zone, right there. So I clicked off, I made sure I didn't have anything selected, right? Like that. It won't give you anything with the mouse. Well, there you go. Okay. Stop talking about my ass. I'll stop talking out of my ass here. For whatever reason, sometimes you can just hover your mouse in a hex of a control influence zone, and this little box pops up. Tern influence is coming in at 61.2. The Taurian is coming in at 4.7. And it gives you the percentages there. It means we control this area. And interestingly enough, if I come over to this side, you can see the Terrans are at 29 points of influence, and the Taurians are at 8.7. Let's go up to this tile here. And there, the Taurians have full influence of that tile. We have no influence on that tile yet. They have 100% control. But so that's a really easy way for you to see like what the balance is if you're trying to shift things subtly. But ultimately, because we control this space, you can see down at the bottom here that the Terran, the colony is 6% in rebellion. When it hits 100, it'll, as far as I can tell, flip over to us at that moment. It takes a while. Terran influence is 1.8 times. I don't know. I guess that's the ratio, maybe, is what they're trying to say between them and us. So, like, if I were, again, to mouse on this, well, nope, that's definitely not what's going on. I don't know where the 1.8 is coming from. That's not explained well. I think they should just show a ratio like on the planet of the influence mix. Or maybe it's taking into account the resilience of the people on the planet. Maybe they have a natural innate resistance to being flipped. So if I look here possibly at resistance, 28%. Resistance will help your population defend itself when invaded, and it makes it less susceptible to foreign influence, which is what is happening. The hex bubbles that grow around our planets and starbases are your influence here, sphere of influence. So, yeah, I guess what that number is showing you there, that Terran influence multiplier, the 1.8. I've seen it go as high as like 6.0 or something, and I think that it is really just trying to say this planet has a lot of resolve, a lot of resistance, or not. Yeah. Because I think there are a couple of species I've come across that are immune to influence flip. And it might be that they're like a minor faction or something like that. that just pops up on a planet. I've seen that happen in a couple games where I'm trying to think of the name. There's like a little pirate squirrel species that pops up, and they're not a real species, but they're just kind of an annoyance. And I think it's really just there so you can get a little bit of fighting in, which is good for your ships to gain experience to level up in combat. But it's a safe pocket conflict. You can go capture their worlds. You can mess around with stuff. But I think they're highly resistant to influence. Which kind of makes sense. It's saying, well, you got to deal with this in other ways. And eventually they surrender to you at some point. It is what I've seen. So long story short, yada yada. Okay, well, we want to keep pushing our influence forward here because we want to flip a Lula Borealis. It's a great world that has precursor nanites, strategic resource, which is pretty rare. I've only come across that a couple times in my games so far. And otherwise, has all sorts of cool stuff. It has a thulium moon, which presumably means you can get thulium and precursor nanites off of this world, I suppose. Let's see if thulium moon will pop out. Precursor world carved from the fragments of a thulium world. Thulium is a key ingredient to kinetic weapon systems. Yeah. And we might as well look at precursor nanites. These relics can be found dormant in many worlds, endlessly trying to prepare the galaxy for their lost masters. Precursor nanites can be an effective ground combat weapon. Yes. Gray goo, right? Yeah. All right, here we go. So let's click on Alula. Now, we haven't gotten into this too much here yet. There we go. When I click on any given world, I can get, whether it be a core world or just a colony, sub-world. We get little orbital improvements. These are satellites, functionally. I have 2 of them here on Alula, and I'll click on one of them. So quite a few of these options are grayed out. Recruiting station would cost me 100 treasury, 100 coin, no problem. It's a one-time fee. And then it would give me 20% growth on the planet. I like that. What I would really love, though, is to have some sort of influence modifier. So if I come down here to Planetary Beacon, you can see here that for the cost of 100 treasury and 1 durantium, I can get +1 to cultural significance for this world, meaning the input of culture, and the output will give me a 20% influence growth per turn. Every turn, it's 20% more growth. So we don't have durantium up here. Is that why I can't build that? Or are all these on the list even though I haven't researched them yet? I'm not exactly sure. If I look here, I cannot build not enough durantium. Okay, cool. So let's go to the Galactic Bazaar. And here is some durantium. For 51 coin, I can get one. Now, I'm running a deficit right now of -3 income. We'll have to get that fixed up as soon as we can. But yeah, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to buy that. We'll jump back to Alula. We'll go back to the Orbital Improvements. And you can see here, ooh. So this is interesting. Do you see how many of these orbital improvements we've enabled by purchasing 1 durantium? And so certain strategic resources are used heavily in certain areas of the game. Some have almost no use whatsoever. There's only 1 or 2 things they can be used for, period. But in this case, durantium is a very strong, durable metal, durantium, and you need it to make orbital stations. Cool. I don't know why. I mean, when things are in orbit around a planet, there's not a massive amount of stress on them. They're in free fall. So you could probably make it out of tinfoil and more or less hold its shape. But I digress. We won't go too deep into the physics here, folks. Just want to point out, though, here's the logistics array. If you look over here, it takes the coin, treasury, durantium 1, thulium 1, promethium 1. So there's a lot of ways you can do this up. I like, though, the base effect of that is 1 extra control per month. And our control is only to +3 per month. So that would be a massive gain to our control output. So something to look at for. But for right now, I want that Planetary Beacon. You bet I do. I'm going to build it. You can see there it slots in, and we still have 1 improvement left that we can build at a later time. So this is why our rush to get strategic resources is so important at this early stage of the game, because without the strategic resources, we can't get a lot of improvements made. And we have multiple worlds that we need to make improvements on. Mars, even just little Mars, has a single orbital improvement. And you go, well, geez, I don't need influence on Mars. Sure, but could we use control, a point of control from Mars every turn for the rest of the game? Would be really a good use of that orbital station. So we need strategic resources. We need a bunch of them. Okay, speaking of which, we had a constructor right here that we were trying to get the Aat and the Illyrium, but it can't hit both of them. If you remember, we learned that we could look from above on our galaxy view and see its circle of influence, and it clearly, it can't get both. There's no way to hit them both. So what we should decide then is, do we need Illyrium or do we need antimatter more? Now, right now, we are harvesting Promethium, Thulium, some Harmony crystals coming off of a Lula Borealis coming off the planet, which is great. Food, we farm on almost any world. Don't worry about food. I've never run out of food, so I'm not sure what that's about. And, of course, modules are for our star bases, but we manufacture those at any star base or on any planet. We can do that. So we have a tough choice. We want both. Now, this is our star base here, and they are harvesting the Thulium. So we need both of these. We need the antimatter and the Illyrium. Now, what I would recommend doing is seeing, is there another place we can get one of those two resources? So as I kind of scroll around, I see I have another Aat here and another Illyrium. So we actually have doubles on those, which is cool. And actually I see another Illyrium here. So it looks like Illyrium is, I find, is one of the most common resources out in gas clouds. I actually end up just selling it in mass. I've driven the cost down on Illyrium down to as low as 6 credit per, when I've had hundreds of Illyrium, like gaining like 8 a turn kind of thing. And it won't go below that. Now, that was playing the Luxon, yeah, the criminal species. And with their culture tree, they had a plus 25% to their sell price. So it actually may go as low as 4 or 5, but there is a bottom cap on any strategic resource. But even at 5, it's like, if you're gaining 10 of those per turn, like you're harvesting a ton of it, but you can sell each one at 5, that's 50 extra credits a turn. I mean, you'd save them all up. You save up 100 and just sell them and get 500 coin that way every so many years. So, yeah. You want as many strategic resources as you can get. It really isn't going to hurt anything. But in this case, we will go for the Aat. We'll have to wait, though. That constructor is out of turn. So we have an event waiting. Okay.
The message appears to be fragmented.
Can you guys hear that?
A plea or inquiry asking, is anyone there?
Okay, we're getting.
Is that it matches the radio signature of a species that was once known as the Slime.
The Slime are reaching out from a hidden area of the galaxy. So, do we attempt to respond to the signal? Our message has been sent. We will wait to see if the call into the darkness is met with friends, foe, or silence, or ignore the signal. The depths of space remain undisturbed by our hand. The signal fades into the cosmic background unanswered. That's the safe way to play it. But I'm like, nah, I want to know who the Slime are. I don't know. And we're going to send a response. We're going to find out. So, the great thing about the game is sometimes you'll get responses back to your little mini quests immediately. Other times, I think it just sets a flag within the game, and there's just a random chance that something's going to happen later on. So I almost always go for the role play. I want to make things happen and let things happen in the game. But here we go. Let's keep it advancing. We have a trade offer coming from the Yor. Perhaps we can interest you in an aesthetically pleasing order of O's and ones. A little poetry for them. Binary poetry. We're looking to negotiate. Well, let's just see here. This is just a little bit of color text here. It doesn't really matter so much. But they want us to give them 140 credits, plus the research district technology, plus asteroid mining technology, plus hyperwave radio, plus starbase modules, to all these technologies. And they're going to give us a Durantium and extreme colonization. They probably started with extreme colonization, if I had to guess, because it's a pretty advanced level thing. And actually, if I look here, let me shift. Oh, no. There we go. It's showing 9 months to complete research. It's saying it would take us 9 months at our current research output to get that. That's pretty high. That means it's a pretty high level technology. Now on our end, it's not showing right now. I don't know why. Usually, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I recall in the other games I played that it'll show me up here what it would cost me to get it, or maybe what it costs them to get it. Like where it'll say it'll cost them 2 turns, 3 turns, possibly. I'm not exactly sure. But at any rate, one technology for 4 is a terrible deal in any case. So I'm going to reject that offer. And I'll hit done. And what is it you want to fit, Fleshling? It's essentially giving us an option. We can do another trade proposal, go back into the trade window. The time has come to destroy you. We can declare war. And we have something else in mind. All right, we'll say goodbye. One thing in the game is I do find with some species, they will pop up trade windows way more often than I would like every other turn kind of thing. And after the 20th time you get a trade offer from the same species, it gets a little old. I almost wish there was a little toggle checkbox on the trade window where you say, I want less trade offers. Say, tell the species, the civilization that to contact us less often. And that would just be a little flag that the programmer set up in there to reduce the rate of trade offers by 60%, right? 2/3 or something. And that would stretch it out a lot more. If you're playing a trade forward civilization, you wouldn't check the box. You would just leave it unchecked because you want to give as many opportunities as you can. And they're favorable to you more because you have great intimidation and people like you and all that kind of stuff. No one likes us. So it's a little thing I'd put in there because it does get annoying when it happens that often. Long story short, we'll advance the turn. That is the last thing we had going on for right now. Let's see. I want to make sure they're not pushing back over here on Aurora Borealis. It is climbing. It went from 6% to 8% in rebellion, so we are pushing forward on that. And we were going right back to our colony ship here. So we've decided we want the AMAT. Now, there's a little more strategy involved here if we're going to place this. There's no sense in us rushing forward, but check this out. We're going to form a space station like this, and you can see that our space station is projecting influence around it, as well as the thulium here, right? This is our thulium. It's going to Ptolemae's Starbase, which is here. I was confusing that with Taurian for a second, but it is ours. So anything that you control exerts a little bit of influence. Now, can I click on... I can't see what that influence is. What about my Starbase? Let's click on the Starbase. I'm not seeing an influence rating there. Let's jump into the Starbase. Here we go. So influence is 20. Starbase gives you a base plus 10. Influence growth per month is 0. Natural influence radius is 3. So, what's that is telling us, if we throw a Starbase out there, it doesn't grow. It just starts at that, it gets that lump sum, and it doesn't grow from there, I guess? And its base, it would have been a 10, but it's at a 20 now. I'm guessing possibly because we've built it up with these extra modules. We've done them, well, it started as a mining Starbase, and then it got a mining drones boost. So perhaps every time you add a module, you get a little bit of extra influence. Though it's not saying that, I don't know. Long story short, you can check the influence on your Starbase right there. And there are ways to improve them, by the way, so you can generate a considerable amount of influence from a Starbase. It's essentially turning it into a TV network. It's a broadcast beacon. You're putting out music, poetry, ideas, cultural influence. And you're getting the other species to come along because they want to join your side. It's an interesting thing in the game and with humanity, human conflicts. In the long term, influence is very important because it slowly shifts people one way or another. The tricky thing about it, though, is that is society and culture changes, like on Earth, from generation to generation, it happens so drastically that although we think we're in charge of it, oftentimes we don't foresee the cultural and influence changes that will occur. I guarantee you 20 years ago, no one ever thought about something like TikTok and the fact that you'd have a billion humans on Earth using it and that the Chinese would control it. So that's an example of how influence can really wiggle its way into the power of nations. Okay, that being said, do I just move my constructor right here and build it behind this? No. I want to get this starbase built over here because I want to not only mine the antimatter, but I want to make a bulwark to push in and resist Taurian influence. So I will start shifting this over. So I don't want to go too far. I want to go, well, oh, they're getting around the nebula cloud, so it's taking a little more time. Yeah, we're going to push them in just as far as we get. So I'm willing to take a couple more turns before we make that, because I'm going to try and make a connected ring. You can see here, we could theoretically make an entire collar around them here. And then we have another trade offer from the Yor. This is what I was saying about the fact that this is back-to-back trade offers. I don't really like that. So they want hyperwave radio. And here we can see it'll take the Yor 3 turns to make the hyperwave radio. I'm seeing that right there. Looks like it'll take them 4 turns for the universal translator and 5 turns for starbase modules. Again, they're offering extreme colonization 6 turns for us. So it's a quick way to do the calculus. Just on how much research they do versus us. And I do, by the way, assume that on this side it's showing the amount of research it'll take us. And over here it's showing the amount of resource it will take your trading partner. Because it wouldn't make any sense if it was all comparing it in U to U. I don't know. It's not explained well. I would be interested in a better explanation, Stardock, if you're listening. But for the time being, that's a horrible offer. The 4 Durantium's not bad, though. I'm not going to lie. But it could give the Yor a big leg up here. What would they get? Access to a lot of stuff. I'm not going to give it to them. I'm going to reject. We don't need extreme colonization. That's the main reason. We just don't need... Extreme colonization would allow us to colonize extreme worlds. I haven't seen any yet. We've colonized every world we wanted. It has been a normie world. So I don't need the technology. I'm not going to give them shit they need. So we will say goodbye. Okay. Next turn. Trying to get our little constructor over this way. See a lot of interesting stuff opening up around us here. There's more Illyrium. Antimatter up to the celestial north. There, a control relic. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Build a xenoarchaeology module on any nearby starbase to study this precursor, and it would generate control every month for you, like a resource you're harvesting. Control, like this control up there, right there. So, not bad. Now, I see that we still are not harvesting our Durantiums. We really need to get constructors built up fast. What is it that our starbases are working on? I'm going to go to the starbases tab, and I see they are both working on constructors. So we've keyed in that we need these critical resources harvested quickly, so we are generating those quick as we can. And actually, just to make sure, let's go to the forge. The Stargazer's in next. I don't need the Stargazer next. I'm going to add another constructor ship and slot it ahead of the Stargazer. The Stargazer is not a flagship. That's why I'm not too worked up on it. And then up here, you can see the forge at Earth, but I can use these right and left arrows to cycle through to my other starbases quickly. I'll jump over to the Kratos shipyard, and yes, they in fact have 2 constructors back to back. That's perfect. We need around 4 constructors. I don't think we need more than 6 right now, because listen, I want to harvest this Durantium. I want to harvest this Illyrium and antimatter with a single constructor, and I want to harvest this Durantium here. So I got 1, 2, 3 about that I need right now. I see over here an economic relic. This is the same thing where we can probably harvest the Durantium in the economic relic, and that will give us coin. Will come off of that with the xenoarchaeology module. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then yeah, we could come out theoretically and try and grab this Illyrium or this Illyrium So 4 should do us nicely. But we got to get to him fast. So that being said, we're jumping back here. Our little cargo constructor. We're zipping him out this way. That looks pretty good. Let's bite the bullet. Let's build it right there. And we'll do the mining station. The first of our antimatter mining probes, little more than an engine with a scoop, returns from the perimeter of a black hole with its precious cargo. The antimatter it has collected will soon be used to develop advanced weapons and power generation systems. Little more than a scoop made out of nothing but force fields, because it is antimatter. It's not just a shovel made of regular matter on the front of a little harvesting. It's really underselling it there. Okay. We do have a few modules available, 3. So yeah, let's use one of them for the mining drone. And one module there will give us a plus 0.1 on everything this one mines. So we'll do it. And now you can see our antimatter harvesting is up to 0.2 per turn. So every 5 turns we get a whole antimatter. We'll hit done. Ooh, we should have checked on our influence there. Hold on. Dang it, I should have looked at that. Yeah, I messed it up. Next time, I'll try and remember. I didn't see if adding the module increased the influence. It's all right. Now, in particular, because we have a limited number of Starbase modules, it's slow to make them. They're actually quite expensive to produce. We really want to use them for these double Starbases here, here, and this double Promethean one up here. Yeah. All right. And we have an idle core world. Okay, here we go. This is Kratos 4. Good deal. So, as always, when you have a new colony, the first thing we do is put our colony capital down. We got that done. Obviously, developing strategic resources is important. So, the Promethean refinery. Here's a snuggler colony, which if we develop it, will start to generate snugglers, and so it'll give us a 0.1 to snugglers each turn, but it'll also give us an influence growth on this planet of a +2. I believe repeated, maybe influence growth. I think, yeah, possibly. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it works. But I want to get that built up. Now, one thing I've struggled with occasionally on new colonies. Some of them are very mineral poor or they don't have any inputs. You've got to get your production base up soon. It needs to be one of the priorities on any colony you're developing. Because everything you develop on the colony is purchased in terms of production. So the higher we get manufacturing early, the quicker we get everything else. Just them's the rules. If you don't pay attention to that, I've had colonies start out with like really low approval, and this number sitting down here at like 1.8. Holy cows, that takes a long time to develop. Now we're sitting at a pretty low approval of 40% right now, and that's a massive hit because again, that 40% relates to a straight up 40% multiplier on everything we're generating. If you look at our manufacturing is actually at 21.8, it's nearly 22 manufacturing this planet produces. But because we're multiplying that 21.8 by 40%, it's not 40 times, it's 0.4 times. It's because it's a percentage. It's reducing it down to 9. So we're losing over half of our manufacturing on this world. That's a big oof. Now, the total of 9 isn't bad. It means we can get shit built. But listen, we either need to make more manufacturing or we need to improve our approval. We could effectively double our manufacturing simply by getting our approval up to 80%. So there's 2 ways to go about building this colony up faster, obviously. And I do want to get the snugglers as well. So that being said, would our snuggler colony make us happier? No. It'll give us an influence because everyone wants a Coca-Cola bottling company on their planet for tourism alone, but it doesn't make us happier. So what can we use to drive up approval? We only have a single colonist here. Their expectations are too damn high, taxes are too damn high, and the world is polluted. It is actually quite polluted. I don't know that there's anything I can do about those things right now. If I look over here, I can improve tourism. That helps nothing. I could increase pollution in manufacturing. That does nothing. The industrial sector, it's a pretty brutal product because it really pollutes a lot. So we're going to stay away from that. The planetary generator would give us a decent amount of manufacturing with a small amount of pollution. That's a much more effective way to boost manufacturing. It's a base of a 1 and then a 3% total to the planet per hex level. So that's not a bad structure to build. Coordination beacon. This is a civilization achievement. It's a one time. We only get one of these. It would give us a +1 control per month flat, as well as the 5% growth bonus per hex level. That's not a bad thing at all, but it doesn't make us happier or produce more. But I could see using the coordination beacon on this planet in coordination with the snuggler colony, which gives us influence, and trying to get influence multipliers all together. And then even here we have this floating mountains with a +3 influence. So this could be our influence world at some point, but we're not ready to go after that yet. What's the final structure we have here? Is just a straight capital mainframe. We only get one of these in our civilization. So this is not the world for it. This is not our research world. This is our influence world. So we'll leave that for now. Now, since we know this is not our research world, we've already decided we want to hit influence, 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 influence. Then I would say that we don't worry about these research tiles. We make these manufacturing tiles like this. Give me a manufacturing district there, and that will help. These guys will all feed against each other, and we have more manufacturing districts down here. Does Promethean Factory give us anything else? No, not really. But look, we can do a manufacturing and a manufacturing district. Now, once that's done, that's going to take us to 5 total manufacturing districts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we jump over here to our district improvement. This is upgrade manufacturing. So manufacturing improvement increases the level of our manufacturing districts. For 5 of them, this is a flat rate though. This is what you got to understand. To do this upgrade, it costs a flat 150 production. But it will make all 5 of our districts, our hexes, go up by 1. So I do that improvement afterwards. Does that make sense? I have 2 done already. I'm going to build the next 3, and then I'll make that improvement. And that roughly works. I mean, you could probably do the math a little more effectively, but the reason is that I will build these 3 in 17 turns. This will take 17 turns by itself to build. And actually, as I build this cheap one, it will make this one, and this one come quicker because I'll be at a bonus to production. So as each of these little guys gets done faster, it speeds the production of everything else, thus snowballing. So let's let these 4 get built out. That'll be done in about 3 years, maybe less actually, because again, it'll snowball. We might get it as quickly as 2 years. And then we'll see about getting that snuggler colony and focusing on our influence production on this world. All right? We'll hit done, and we will advance the turn. Constructors should be coming online any moment now. Okay. Xeno Research, having sent many of our best minds to live on our new colonies, we should now put them to work, studying the worlds and space around them. But to do that, they'll need facilities. This unlocks quite a bit of stuff here. So, Kazar's mainframe, it's a galactic achievement, which will greatly boost research on one world. So we will need to select what our research world is going to be and try and focus in research on that one colony. A general district-wide, a district improvement to research, +1 to all of our research districts, not unlike the production district improvements we just were talking about. But for research. Planetary mainframe, this is colony unique. We can put one of these on every single colony. Takes a little bit of maintenance, but it gives us a little boost to research. So you wouldn't build one of these on a world where you don't do research. But you can have mixed bag colonies where you have a little bit of production, a little bit of research. It's less efficient, but sometimes in the early game or in a game where you know you're only going to have a few colonies, you've got to have them multitask. So no big deal, but that's a base building. Starbase Lab, this is boost the research in nearby worlds. And this is a module. Yes? Yeah, because it takes a Starbase module. So for 1 Promethean, 1 module, we can get a 3% research bonus around to the worlds near the Starbase. Yeah. Okay. Now, the way to think about this is you would build something like this over here, but where Kratos 2 and Kratos 4 are quite close to each other, you could put a Starbase right between them and then put that module on there, and it would theoretically boost research on both worlds. Sure, that's how you could do that. What else do we get? We get the unlocks the scientist job. So at this point, I think we had farmers, workers, and citizens, but now we'll have scientists as well. We have the Genius Grant. This is a policy. It will yield a +1 to research at a cost of minus 10% gross income. That's civilization-wide. So essentially, every world, there's no more rewarding investment than in our brightest minds. Give every core world an additional research point. So every core world will get a +1 to research input, but it'll cost your entire civilization a minus 10% to income. That's a trade-off. You gotta know what you need there. And finally, we have a new policy, pressure scientist. So for 30 control points, we can get an immediate +50 research. Awesome. And we'll choose a new tech. We will hit done here. So what kind of stuff do we want to work on? It's interesting. The Taurians are a pretty taciturn species. In general, they're not overly militaristic, but they're not pacifists either. So we got to be careful with them. But the Yor can be quite belligerent, quite dangerous. They see us as squishy meat bags, so they'll try and conquer us. So we got to be careful about just focusing down things that will develop our species that are useful, like science and philosophy and manufacturing techniques. We also need weaponry. So we have to balance that out. Now, you've noticed so far we've started down research and production. These are going to fall into your candidate technologies all the time. But where you might fall short unless you direct yourself that way are things like weaponry, armor, and things like influence growth stuff, xeno-related stuff, biology-related, economic. You have to deliberately be choosing these icons to cycle them in to your candidates. It's very easy to get pigeonholed as you play the game, where the same items just keep coming up. Hammers, beakers, a type of weapon. So you sometimes have to very deliberately go after these other things. But at twice the rate. Remember, we're getting a 50% bonus discount on research to these, or bonus to the research we do on them. So I actually like the directed energy weapons. Allows construction of basic energy weapons. I see there's a cutter style and an intrepid style ship that could get unlocked, as well as enhanced particle beam. Let's just mouse over that. Yeah, the cutter's a straight up frigate. Come on. It's a small hull size, which we know how to make small. Intrepid is a medium size. Now, the Intrepid we wouldn't have access to the Intrepid. I don't know what MO stands for exactly. A design, we'll say, a blueprint. I don't know what the MO means, but manufacturing something. But here's the truth. We don't know how to make a medium hull size ship yet. And I'm seeing that right. Damn it. Intrepid pops up to this here, right here. It's a class cruiser, hull size medium. We can't make those yet. So this gets unlocked, but it's not available just yet. You're not going to be able to, I'm going to make that sweet cruiser. We're going to make the cutter, which is a small frigate. And you're going, I don't want that. I don't want a 6 health cutter. I want the sweet-ass Intrepid with the 40 health. I want a big cruiser. You can't build it yet. You don't have the ability to make cruiser-sized medium ships yet. So be cautious with that. You don't always get everything you see. And then finally, enhanced particle beam. It's just it's a beefed up weapon that should get slotted onto your ships there. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's not obvious to me which of these to go for. But here's what I am going to do. I'm going to look here at quantum computing. Does it give me any special stuff? No, it's an upgrade to research in zero-G experimentation. It's not going to give me anything I see right off the top there. And then over here, orbital mining. Allows us to construct orbital mines for our colonies. Would this give us asteroid factories? Possibly. Let's check orbital mining real quick and jump out. Have we gotten any mines yet? Yes, we have. Oh, and this brings me up to a good point. I misspoke before. You notice here we used a asteroid miner to mine these 4 asteroids. One of them did all 4. Each hex of asteroid mining does feed into your colony. So as we look here, we have a single asteroid hex. One miner will do that. Over here we essentially have 2 next to each other, but this one's actually Duranthium, so it doesn't count. But if it was regular, we would get 2 lines coming out of it. We only get 1, and here we get 4. So long story short, when you mouse over and it says that it produces 0.1 production, it's per hex. So 1 asteroid miner here got us all 4, got us 0.6. That is the case. So you want, long story short, you want to go for the largest cluster of asteroids first, and then go to the 3s, to the 2s, to the 1 clusters as you develop them. It does, in fact, pay more for a larger asteroid belt. That's obvious, and that is how it works. I've looked at the numbers, and that is, in fact, how it works. So, that being said, if we go for that asteroid mining tech, I guess it's going to give us all sorts of stuff. Hold on, let's just see. What's an orbital thulium extractor? It's a military improvement. It can be used to mine rare deposits of thulium off of our starbases? Sure. These are all orbitals. Orbital heliosaur extractor. Okay. I'm guessing that... now, what I'm not sure, though, is does that mean that's coming off of the orbitals of your colony? So, like, if you went to Earth, you went into here to Orbital Improvements, and you had a thulium extractor, is that even a thing? Hold on. Orbital Academy, Orbital Market Beacon, Sensor Array, Atmospheric Prison Colony, Climate, Orbital... No. Oh, there it is. Orbital Auroras. These bioluminescent trees are one of the natural wonders of the galaxy. Hydroponic tech required. I would currently get a 0.1 if I could build that in orbit. So I don't even see that over here, though. I see thulium, Illyrium, Promethium, Helios, Silicate, Xanthium, and Harmony crystals. So I'm not exactly sure where that comes into play. Because it says orbital, I think that it's only going to improve those generation of those products off of an orbital station or a starbase, or potentially off the moons. If you recall over here, the thulium moon, there it is. Is that what that is? Yeah. I'm assuming that's the thulium moon object, I guess. It's kind of cool. I've never really looked at that before. So maybe when we control that world, it's going to yield us the thulium, and if we get this orbital mining improvement, it will increase that thulium by 1/10 more. Interesting. Yeah, that must be what it is. It seems like a very small increase, but considering you just get it, it looks like it could be well worth it. So, yeah. Now, the other thing we're running into, though, is that we are having a massive deficit on our coinage. So, I look over here to economic development. Upgrade markets, which is a district type. Economic development policy unlocked, and gross income is just a flat plus 10%. Let's do that. We're going to go with a little economic development because we are really suffering right now at our tax rate. And I don't want to... So I could come down to the civilization tab. I can adjust the tax rate, but look at how low our approval is. So if I boost this to high, we are going to have straight up riots in the streets, which really puts your production and research in the shitter. So we don't want to go to there. We can't go lower to make our people more happy because, again, we're going to go bankrupt. So With any luck, we will get that new research just in time to get us that bonus there, and we'll start correcting our monetary issues. So that being said, of the two policies we have available, do either one of us hurt our income? No. Heart of the Empire is just bonuses to influence in gross income. We want to keep that. What about experimental drives? We are essentially getting a +1 movement to a hit point reduction to our ships. Right now we're not really fighting, and we don't need our ships to be that fast. So what else can we do? Genius Grant. That would hit our gross income negatively. We don't want that. We could do land exploitation, which is a +5. So this policy will open up public lands to extreme mining techniques and generate additional wealth. Here, let's just check this out. Let's slot it in. Watch our credit up there. Went from a -5 to a +5. So I'm guessing our two core worlds both got a +5. That's huge. However, that's a massive amount of pollution. One of our worlds was already sitting at 40%, so that's going to push it to 70%. Let's jump out of there real quick. Let's take a look. What was that? Kratos 2 is sitting at 66% pollution. That is monstrously bad. Kratos 4 is sitting at 74% pollution. Let's see what that does to our world. It makes people extremely unhappy. Let's see here. Let's mouse on him. -24% because of pollution. And then what else does that pollution affect? It really hits our growth. So look at the next citizen will take 809 months to grow. Meaning we've completely stalled out growth on this planet. And then for food production, right here, yeah, none. We aren't producing food functionally. You can see our food has dropped down to 1 there. So fortunately, there's no risk in fiddling around with your policies just to look around within a given turn. It doesn't hurt anything. So we can remove that. What else can we do? Population boom. That hits your gross income at a -25%. It's got big bonuses to approval and to growth. Essentially, your folks are just on a mission to make more of themselves, and it makes everyone extremely happy, apparently, but it costs a lot of money. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Those coin-operated vibrating beds at the hour rental motel, they don't pay for themselves, folks. Yeah, you got to dig deep in your pockets for that kind of research technology. All right, research grants, same thing. It's -10 to income. We can't do it. Shipyard stimulus also hits our income. All these are bad. All these hit our income in a way we can't handle. So we're going to slot experimental drives back in there and get that land exploitation out of there. No choice on that. We'll shift that back and forth. You notice there I clicked off. We were at 36%. I clicked off, reset it, and it readjusted the approval. I've noticed quite a bit of the numbers displayed on the game do not refresh on a polling loop. They, like every second, they're not updating in real time. You actually have to click, like, tab off, change the window and back to get it to show the refresh level. Just FYI. So, okay. We've got a constructor done. So, folks, what do we want to build first? Here's our constructor. I want to go after... I need Durantium pronto. But I want to go after the most valuable areas first. So let's go get this one right over here. Boom. Sending that constructor that way. They'll be there in just a couple of turns, and we'll start getting those two. By the way, that's an economic relic, which will help with our monetary issue. That's why I'm going that way. And then, what else do we got going on here? We got a couple of ships that need to level up. Yeah. Let's go to the Discovery, our flagship. She is right here. Looks like she is idling, so she needs a mission. We're going to send her right after these artifacts. And I am always going to go for artifacts in Xenospace before I go for artifacts in my own space. I'm going to take their artifacts from them. And down here, we're going to click. We see the little red up arrow. And these are the options we have. Now, we can do basic crew quarters, basic movement, sensor range. I'm not so concerned about sensor range, actually. I'm not in a race to expand to the whole sector. There's so much work for us to do in our part of the sector, our area already. I'm not concerned about the Discovery sailing off into the stars. So I'm not going to mess. I don't mess with sensor range too much, but I like the AMAT warhead. We could bump this the missile attack +2 for 1 antimatter. Yeah, let's do it. She's our main weapon ship. She's the most powerful ship we have in our fleet so far, so we might as well make her efficacious at combat. So here we go. And you can see there, it jumped her little sword, her attack total bumped up from 7 to 9 instantly. So yeah, give her a little more threat. Perfect. And she's going to go research. And then we have the Independence here, which is a frigate. Let's click on her. She is still surveying, but we can still improve her while she's doing that. Now, because we are out of antimatter, we can't do, or we have no Illyrium, we'll say, so we can't do the beam weapon improvement, which is fine. She doesn't have a lot of hit points. She's a small ship. So is this question of, do you build her up over time? She'll never be a great warship. So I'm not going to worry about that. What do we want to give her then? Crew quarters, command bridge. So no, I'm not going to go for crew quarters. I'm not going to go for weaponry on her because she'll never be a really fantastic warship. So let's focus on things that are a little more valuable to her, such as sensor range or movement. Let's do movement. Give her command bridge so she can zip around between things quicker, cover more ground. That's fine. It also helps her stay out of danger. We know we don't want her getting in fights because she's not a powerful ship. So if she can move faster than Xenos, she can scoot away very nicely. So I think that's a solid strategy there. And what else do we have? Let's go to the Galactic Bazaar. Excuse me here. So I always, every so many turns, whenever you see your Galactic Bazaar get that little coin number, always check, because what it means is these are your base strategic resources: Illyrium, Durantium, Antimatter, Promethium, Thulium. They will always be down here, all 5. You always have access to buying and selling those, which is pretty cool. However, these are the rare ones: Helios, Xanthium, Snuggler colonies, and many others. These will change out over and over and over. Now, I was playing the Xyloxians, the criminal species, whatever they're called, and I would only ever get 2 new strategic resources cycling through. But for whatever reason, the Terrans here are getting 3, which is awesome. Now, we don't have enough credits to delve into this, but anytime I have the credits available, if Helios were to pop up, I would buy 1 or 2 of them, or 3 of them. I say 3 because many of the Galactic's achievements require 3. Like, what's one of the examples? The spices, the Aenor spices, take 3 to build the spice market. So anytime I would see it pop up, I would buy 3, 1, 2, 3, and then leave it. I wouldn't buy 10 of them. I would just get 3, knowing that eventually I want to get the spice market built. And so over time, I would pocket 3 of all of these. I would get 3 Snuggler colonies, 3 Xanthium deposits, and 3 Helios ore if I could afford it. I would buy them all right now and then probably not buy them again. But I can't afford it, so I'm going to have to let them go. Just wanted to point that out. What do we have here in our vault? We have a pollution -10. Oh, an atmospheric cleanser. Well, let's use that right now. Okay. So what is our most polluted world? Now, your little colonies you don't ever have to worry about pollution with, by the way. That doesn't affect, they don't grow or do anything. So pollution doesn't affect, like Mars can be very polluted. We don't care. It's actually relatively clean. But let's go to our planetary tab and let's sort by pollution. There you go. And this quickly lets us see that Earth is at a 13. Kratos 2 is at a 36. Lula Borealis is at a 40. And Kratos 4 is at a 44. Now, the other problem I see with Lula is that they have a very low approval rating. If we clean up that pollution, it may help improve this. So let's just jump in. We have our one person here who does think the world is polluted at a -13%, and they don't like the fact that Alucile is unloyal. We need to get harmony crystals built up, and we can gift her a harmony crystal to get her from a 30 to a 40. Each harmony crystal increases the loyalty of one of your leaders, a governor, leadership commander, by 10. And you can see that we are, in fact, on our way to creating our first harmony crystal. We're 6/10 of the way to a whole one. So we'll have that soon. We'll use that for Lucci, which will help make her, this lady here, this human, does she have a name? No name. Oh, the people used to have names. Did they get rid of the names for the people? They must have. Oh. That's fascinating. I'm getting sidetracked, but let's focus on her still. She's at a minus 13% because of pollution. Okay, we're going to exit out of here. We are going to go to Lula. Pollution sitting at 40%. We're going to click in the vault. We're going to take the atmospheric cleanser. We click it. Gives us a targeting symbol. We click. We let it take effect. We mouse over again. Pollution is now down to 29%. We actually got an 11% reduction there. Probably because of rounding. Let's go back into Alua. I go back to this woman here, and her approval is down to a -9 because of pollution. So it helped a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I'll take it. Okay. So really, the main thing that's making this colonist unhappy, though, is the minus 10% now because the governor's not loyal. We got to get that fixed up as quick as we can. Let's hit done. And we're going to get there, though, because, again, we're only 4 turns away from having our first Harmony Crystal completed. So we have a solution. And the other thing down here, executive orders. We have 3 available to us. Should we use some of these up? Let's see here. Print money. We don't want to do that. I want the money, but the minus 10% approval, we can't survive it right now. We have pressure scientists. That's a good option. It'll cost us 30 control, no credits, and it'll have a 10-turn cooldown. Absolutely, we're going to do it. Yes. And hold on a sec. You see up here the progress bar? It has not been filled up at all, so let's jump in. Let's spend it, pressure the scientists, and yeah, it hasn't shown it. It should jump that forward a lot. Come on, guys. Stardock, have a polling loop for your stat bars, your progress bars. I understand you have a limited amount of overhead, but hell, every 3 seconds, just send out a refresh prompt to all of your numbers, right? That's not much overhead. I know there's 100 things to refresh, but if you just do it every few seconds, then I can wait 1, 2, 3. It refreshed. Now it's updated. I just spent 50 research, but it's not showing it on the progress bar. Why? I should get that feedback to know that that worked. Okay, I digress. Let's jump back in. What else can we do here? We could draft colonists, get a free colony ship for a minus 2% approval, but we don't need to do that because well, there are worlds. Hold on. They're all poor worlds. Huh. Gosh, do I do it? Do I drive down my approval more? Gotta be careful, folks. Gotta be careful how hard we hit approval. Let's sort by approval. Am I seeing it right there? What is that one? Is that little person symbol approval? 100%, 49, 53, 30. Yeah. Yeah, that's approval. I don't know why it's not the smiley face. You can see there, it's a yellow box with a person on it, but I'm assuming that's approval. No, maybe not. I guess I got to just mouse over here. Let me look in here. Where's approval? Okay, Earth is at 67%. Kratos is at 44. The other Kratos is at 40, and Alula is at 38. Do I take the hit to get that colony ship right now? I have 3 little worlds, but they would be good inputs. Artemis is not that good of an input. It would only give us influence and research, so I don't want Artemis. Kratos 3, though, would give a 2 manufacturing input to one of the planets. And Kratos 4 would also give us a 2. It would help us develop those colonies much faster. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bite the bullet, folks, and I'm going to draft the colonists. Driving down my approval on all of my worlds. But I want that colony ship. So here we go. We're going to send her off to one of these 2. Which is better? I'm looking their production, research, food. So altogether, that's a +7 for Kratos 4. This one here is not quite as good. It's a It's at a +6. So yeah, we're going to send that colony ship to Kratos 5. It's the better of the two. Gets 1 extra food production. So they're on their way. Very cool. And do we get a new ship? The Victory. What's she doing? She's sitting idle. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh crap! How long has the Victory been sitting idle there? All right, don't worry about it. Yeah, we're gonna send her off this way to research more anomalies. We have a lot of anomalies to research, and we'll advance or look at a trade offer. What do they got here? They want 3 technologies. They give us 1. Again, we don't need extreme colonization, so we will reject that offer. We don't want to mess with it. Sometimes if things are somewhat balanced, I'll get into the mechanics. So at some point we will look at the trade windows, but those offers have been horrible thus far. And we have an event that's popped up. The survey report. Our ship has stumbled upon a peculiar artifact adrift in the void of space. It appears it's a cage for some monstrous creature. Take the cage into our possession, ready to release the monster when needed. Study the cage. Dissect the artifact for its advanced technology, advancing our own scientific knowledge. This may haunt us later. Okay. I want to do that. I want the technology. But again, it hasn't shown any increase there. We have another event just popped up.
Which at first glance isn't much different from the countless other civilian vessels scattered across the galaxy.
You guys, can you hear that?
This particular ship is significantly off course compared to most. The aliens aboard are poorly equipped for such a journey. Given their current situation, their chances of surviving the trip and making it back home safely seem slim. Once their initial panic subsided, we learned that the aliens intended
It's a lot of talk. I don't know if you guys can hear the dialogue. Okay. I know that was a little slow. So they have a nice AI narrator that narrates stuff. I may turn that down. I can't tell if you guys can hear it in the background. I know you get a little bit of the game music and sound effects. I think we're better off just turning down that voiceover in that I just read stuff out, because otherwise I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I've also noticed that the narration does not exactly follow the text. But here's the long and short of it. Bad directions. We found a civilian ship, one not markedly different from any of the other civilian vessels that litter the galaxy. Though few are as off course as this one, the aliens are poorly equipped, and if they are to survive the journey, they're unlikely to make it home safely. After calming the confused wails of the aliens inside, it becomes clear they are seeking to travel to the Taurians to partake in a festival there. They're wondering if we can help them make it back on course. All right, we have a few options. Help them get on their way. It's +1 relations with the Taurian, and it gives us +50 diplomatic capital. Okay, diplomatic capital is a strategic resource that when you are doing trade negotiations, you can spend it to sweeten a deal. You can say, hey, listen, okay, I'll give you this technology, you're going to give me this technology and that technology, and here's a little diplomatic capital. Now, it's not an unlimited value. It's not overpoweringly useful, but you can nudge it a little bit. So it's not a bad resource to have, but you do spend it. It does get consumed. Okay, send in to see one of our festivals instead. +25% tourism to all of our worlds for 10 months. Potentially beneficial to us. It doesn't help our relationship with the Taurians at all, but it doesn't hurt it either. And finally, send them home for their own safety. This would just increase our pacifism cultural awareness. So which of these do we want to do? I don't really need the diplomatic capital. I could do the tourism to all of our worlds for 25 months. I don't know if we have any tourism we're generating, but it could help our bottom line. So let's do that. I say that because we're having trouble economically right now. So let's jump into Earth, for instance. Earth has a 3.4% tourism. And you can see there that, yes, there in fact is bad directions. The event that occurred is giving a +25. Our capital city generates 10, 35% total, and owned galaxy tile bonus is 9.99. So theoretically, the income it's giving us is 3.5 income. Cool, that's not bad. And then do any of our other worlds generate? Yeah, here we go. Here's a little bit. Right there, 2.5. And 2.5. So theoretically, as I'm looking at this, the Tern's at 25%. And that's because of the bad decisions? No. Here we go. Our total galaxy tiles that we own for our whole civilization is 9.99 in all cases. And we're getting 25% of that because of bad decisions. Otherwise, I guess we would get nothing. So, yeah, I think that's well worth it. I would guess. Okay. Well, at least we're not losing money anymore. So that was a little bit selfish on our part, but yeah, we're trying to survive. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we'll advance the turn. Here we go. I see a ship coming out here from the Taurians. It is a cargo ship. Hold on. Cosmic Census, the most populous civilizations. The Taurians are sitting at first. We're sitting at third. Economic development just completed. We got that. Remember, it was sitting at 6 turns, but because we did our research and we dissected the cage with the monster in it for extra resource, we got all 6 months of research done immediately. We may even have excess overflow that'll push into our next technology, potentially. So, our civilization adapted to being multiplanetary. We find ourselves at crossroads, necessitating a profound reimagining of our economic and philosophical foundations. This technology is better described as a massive thesis put together by our greatest minds. It's not just a tool, it's a paradigm shift. Nice catchphrase. Reshaping our understanding of resource allocation, security, and interstellar cooperation. The first step in this journey is the reconceptualization of space-time as a fundamental aspect of our supply chains. Whoa, that's techno-babble jargon. That means nothing. Distances once thought insurmountable now form the veins through which the lifeblood of our economy flow, connecting distant worlds, fucking hell, with exotic resources. This requires an innovative approach to logistics and resource prioritization, where the traditional notions of proximity and accessibility are replaced by a holistic view of galactic abundance. Fuck, they're still going. Oh my god. There's 5 paragraphs there. Am I going to read all that? Do I read all that? I think it's a joke. Most of the other technologies don't do that, but I think it is honestly like a Tony Robbins, right? The motivational speaker guy that sells books to people. Total lunacy. You just sit there and it's like, hey guys, you don't know me, but there's 500 of you and you've all paid $500 to listen to me talk at you for 3 hours today. And people are like, this will make me better. It's like, no. 5 paragraphs. It's jargon talk. It's like, hey, you want to make some money? Buy my book. This is hilarious. I'm just looking though. I'm just scanning it here. Yeah, it's not real. There's no information. There's no information here. I'm not gonna read it. That's the joke. Okay, we get to upgrade our markets. That is a wealth district, financial district improvement. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh, I don't want to. I sneeze very loud. I scream sneeze. You don't want that. Economic development policy, which is +2 to wealth. Yes, we're gonna slot that policy in for our crappy ship movement one. And a flat gross 10% income across the board. I'm so glad we went for that technology and we got it really quick just when we needed it, folks. That's awesome. So at this point, let's jump back into directed energy weapons because we do want to be able to fend off the Yor. They're coming for us. Okay. You can see here we're at a +2 technology already, and then let's jump back into policies. Let's slot out experimental drives with economic development. Boom. We're sitting at a big fat +7 already. So we've turned around our financial woes on a dime. I'm very happy about that. What else are we doing? We got to build up our piggy bank a little bit more. We're getting broke, but I do want to develop some of these other orbital infrastructure-y things. So yeah, let's advance. Oh, our colony ship is en route, right? Our flagship is idling. Oh, did we get a new flagship? Hold on. I'm just sorting through here. Discovery's a flag. Star Eagle's not. The Independence is a flagship. The TSA Explorer is a flagship. The Victory's a flagship. Wow. I don't know where that ship came from. Where did this ship come from? I have no idea. Okay. This is an unusual thing, Stardock, if you're listening to me. Depending on the species you're playing, you get flagships out of nowhere. Just say you've unlocked this thing. Here's your new flagship. It's a one-time thing. You're only ever going to get the TSA Explorer once. Just tell people. You just literally plopped a very important ship into orbit around Earth and didn't even tell me. I don't think you gave me a message that the ship is idling. Where the fuck did this thing come from? It's just happened on multiple playthroughs where it's just some species get flagships. I have a game that I have 5 hours into. Like I'm like way advanced into it. I'm actually nearly beating the session, and I've only got like 3 flagships. And here we have 4, and we're only like a year or 2 into the game. I'm happy to have her. Sure. Okay. So new flagship. We will send her off to explore anomalies. Let's see. We're going to have these ones all knocked out pretty quick. Can we scoot off up here? Yeah. We're going to send her to grab these anomalies off in this area. And let's jump actually into our leaders tab and jump over to commanders. There's the Victory. These are other flagships we could get. So Emissary Tech will get us Curiosity. Defensive Studies will get us to Perseverance, also a flagship. The Gaze comes from Interstellar Cabinet, but is not a flag, so I don't care about her so much. The Hive Base is actually a good-sized cruiser with Interstellar Cabinet, not a flag. The Apex is a big battleship with Sovereign Immunity, not a flag. And finally, the Sickle, also a big battleship through Sovereign Immunity, not a flag. Okay, that's fine. We don't really have the money to recruit anyone else right now. And let's check our ministers tabs. We do need to get our hands on a Minister of Tourism. We don't have much tourism, but that'll increase our piggy bank, our income. So we do want to get that done. We want to get a leader who has good social slotted into that as soon as possible. And under our recruitment, this fellow here has a 7 in social. That's not bad. Yeah, we might have to go for that sooner rather than later. Art is great there with his diligence. Mike here is pretty good with 10 intelligence for his technology. This is questionable. The 7 is not as high as I'd want it, but we need to get higher socials for these two. So we will look into that. Let's look at our next event. All right. This is a ship upgrade. So essentially it will reduce the chances of enemy targeting systems hitting our ship. It's kind of like a dodge capability. It's a defensive module. So we can bring the stealth field on board. It's a free upgrade for one of our ships. We can disassemble it to get 1 Illyrium and 1 Thulium. I never do that. Strategic resources, you can just buy them with credits. They're not rare in that sense, so I wouldn't do that. And finally, we could sell it for 300 treasury. We're going to do that. Yeah. And I believe that 300 treasury is worth more than 1 Illyrium and 1 Thulium sold on the market. And we need the money now because we know we want another leader right now. Our piggy bank is really, really tight. So let's get that stealth field. Let's jump in here. Let's get Raymond Rast. Double click. And we got him for a decent price of 253. And we will slot him over here into tourism, which will give us a 7% bonus to tourism. And you can see it actually pushed that up from a 7 to an 8. So in the end, he, over time, will help pay back the money we put into him as a leader. Anything else we can do right now? I don't think so. Let's advance the turn. And I love having multiple flagships researching everywhere. I do see a Xenos probe coming in here. Got to be cautious of that. I see a trade ship coming in. We never want to interfere with the trade ship. They will create a trade route between our two worlds. It benefits both sides. So that is income for us and the Taurians. We don't want to interfere with that at all. We don't mind them doing that. So what else do we got here, folks? Another executive order popped up. Telescope takeover or print money. Let's do the telescope takeover. It doesn't... it's cooldown of every 30 turns, but there's no detriment to approval or cost of coins. So we'll grab it. And do we want to see what the Yor are doing? I'm not so interested in what the Yor are doing. I'm more interested in seeing more of our pocket of space. Let's look over here. There we go. Doesn't look like there's much there that we didn't already know about. That's kind of a bummer. That was maybe a little bit of a waste, but we will advance the turn. And we're going to colonize Kratos 5. Remember, that is just an input world, and now you can see the input line. She is feeding 2 production, 1 research, 3 wealth, 2 food, and 1 influence into Kratos 2. That's a huge bonus to Kratos 2. Instead of having to develop all that ourselves, doing a farming tile, doing a research district, doing a production district, doing an influence district, she's just getting that. Look at these great inputs. 7, 5, 10, 6, 2. Now, some of those are her own inputs from Kratos 2 itself, but others are from Kratos 5. So those feeder worlds, those feeder colonies are a massive boon to a core world colony. Use them, folks. And actually, let's just cycle through our other core worlds real quick. Let's just compare the planetary inputs. Here's a Lula Borealis 3 sitting at 1, 4, 6, 8, 2. All they really got is food there. Here is Earth itself at 8, 3, 7, 12, 9. That means that colony, that core world, is nearly comparable to Earth at this point. It probably doesn't have the same population of Earth, but it's nearly comparable. And here's Kratos 4. Not so great on the research, wealth, food, and influence, but a massive amount of production. And we're building that up rapidly in our build queue there. So that looks really good. And I'm just checking, making sure our world's working on the right things. Yeah, Kratos 2, we're building up production. We'll get the Starbase built, the shipyard, and then more production. I approve of that. Alula is struggling. Why is Alula struggling? Because she only has 1 mineral input, and her production is choked off at 1.8. It's not helped because of low approval. We're still waiting for that Harmony Crystal to get done. We're almost there. A couple more turns. We will want the shipyard coming in soon, but we may need to build an additional production. What can we do to help Alula? Because that 1.8 per manufacturing is going to choke the development of this colony off forever. We have to get over that hump. How do we do it? Well, we could improve. We could bite the bullet and spend the big 150 to improve our manufacturing districts. But we've only got 1 manufacturing district developed right now, and we're building the second one here. So together, that would get us a +2. It's something we do want to do at some point. It's something we have to do at some point. Where could we build effective manufacturing districts? There. I don't want to mess with that approval. What about we could hit the influence? That's good approval there. This Harmony Crystal thing yields approval to adjacency bonuses. That's a food, which we don't need that much. So look, we could overwrite that food production and get a +2 manufacturing right there. Now, we'd be losing a very nice food production, but as I've stated time and again, I've never run out of food in this game, so I'm not worried about producing it. And because the game doesn't give you, your surplus food doesn't yield income, and you can't trade it or sell it, there's no use for it that I found in the game. They really should give you a little monetary bonus for every surplus food you generate, or allow you to house a surplus of food and save up hundreds or thousands of extra food, but they don't. So you want your food production to be as close to 0, positive, but as close to 0 as possible. Honestly, I would say if you could have it at just a +3, +4, +5 would be fine. We're being wasteful to be producing an extra 10 right now. It truly is, it's waste that gets thrown straight in the trash. We're throwing that food away every turn. So I won't develop this food here. I think we should do manufacturing on that very nice mushroom field. Screw it. We don't need mushrooms. We need production. So that being said, we will also then do our manufacturing upgrade after that. So we'll manufacturing district, and then an upgrade to all 3 of our manufacturing districts at that point. Will be worth it at that point. That's going to help get them to where they're a productive colony. Anyone else? What do we got going on here? Their manufacturing on Earth is sitting at a 12.3. That's relatively robust to start with. I see them working on the Eye of the Universe. They're hustling to get that done. With the food production, no. Here, we don't need that. Pluck that out. Delete that. We're going to hit the X. We have no need of that food. I could see us, though, getting the Aurora Arboretum improvement. This will give us tourism. It'll generate auroras, and it'll give surrounding adjacency bonuses to tourism improvement. So that, to me, makes a bit more sense. I could even see potentially throwing in production and research. So, for instance, Earth may make an excellent research colony. Earth in particular, I found, always has a good amount of wealth, a good amount of production, and a good amount of research. It kind of does everything well. It's Earth. So, although we've talked about the idea of having influence colonies and research colonies and even manufacturing colonies, every colony has to have some amount of manufacturing. At least until it's completely developed. Then you could start just taking apart your manufacturing to repurpose those to specialize. But it's very wise to specialize your colonies, but every colony has to have a minimum level of manufacturing to develop. So that's my warning to you folks there. We know we want this galactic achievement quick, so we're going to keep that going. We want to get the Aurora's Orchard. Are there any other galactic achievements? Yeah, there are. Hold on, I'm just cycling through. And I'm looking at this up here in yellow. This line right here tells us if it's colony, unique, civilization, unique, or galactic unique. We're moving through. Boom, boom, civilization. So we are working on the Eye of the Universe galactic achievement. We want to get that before anyone else, but there's 3 others here. The Khazar's mainframe requires 3 hypersilicates, which we don't have. The Beacon of Babylon requires 3 harmony crystals, which we are gaining the ability to harvest. We harvest them. That's awesome for us. We will get to that. And then finally, the galactic achievement of the Kimberly's Refuge takes 1 Monsatium deposit or resource. And I would like to have that. That would give us a bunch of food production. It's not critical, but I'd like to have it. So, we'll hit done. Down here. You can see the Monsatium is not an option right now. But we'll keep checking back, and we'll try and buy 1 when we need it. We need 3 hypersilicates. We need 3 harmony crystals and 1 Monsatium deposit. So we're going to buy those up as we need them, in groups of 3 oftentimes. Okay, that's the plan. Let's advance our turn. Oh my gosh, we've been playing for a really long time. I'm having so much fun. Is our constructor ready to construct? Yeah. Let's do it, folks. You can see they're in a great position. They're between the Durantium and they're between the Economic Relic. And you can see the feed line is right there. You see it? Pulsing out. So we'll build her. Mining Starbase. Our miners have returned with rocky debris laced with telltale flicker of silvery gold Durantium. More dense and resilient than anything we've seen before, a steady supply will surely lead to new breakthroughs in ship design. And this is a little tricky. She's mining the Durantium, but she needs a xenoarchaeology module to get that economic boost. Right here, Xenoarchaeology Lab. This will give us a plus 0.05 relic and plus 1 ascension. But it's an economic relic. Alright, well, we need the Xenoarchaeology Lab for this to work, I believe. So let's build it. There we go. Once we built it, we got a +5 income. The number of credits your worlds generate, the proportion that goes into your treasury is based on your tax rate. So I'm assuming this is to the nearest colony, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, let's hit done. There's more we could do, but we only have one Starbase module left, so we are being a little cautious with it. And here's our first precursor relic. The scanner's reading are inconclusive, but one thing is certain, this object is old. As our probes maneuver around the strange device, it becomes clear that the beings who built it were vastly more powerful and experienced than we are. It's a privilege to even gaze upon their work. So this isn't our starbase. This is a precursor relic right here that they've left floating, and we're now researching. We're benefiting from it. And as I see this gross income to the colony, 5%. Let's just look real quickly. Let's click on Kratos. Yeah. Let's click on Kratos. It's not showing who that bonus is feeding to. You can see it's coming this way. Let's jump into Kratos. Let's go to... I'm not seeing it in the wealth inputs here. You see that? Those are coming off our worlds. Let's come down to income. I'm looking for a +5. There we go. You see it right there. Economic relic +5%. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is I want to jump to the next colony. A Lula Borealis is very far away from that relic. Let's jump down to our income. Economic relic 5%. Ooh, boy. That 5% bonus for that relic is civilization-wide. That's how valuable that is. So that was a very wise choice on our part. 5% bonus to everything. At least all of our core world colonies. And actually, maybe that is what it says. Economic relic increased colony gross income. Okay, so it's not anything that's coming off of star bases. Maybe it's not going to benefit us, like but colonies do generate that. Very cool. And then I wonder if even Kratos 5 benefits from it. I don't know that there's a way to see, because Kratos 5 is a colony, not a core world. I don't see any ability to see into its economic inputs. Yeah, I don't think it benefits, but all right. So, and the last thing we wanted was we did want that Harmony Crystal. Let's get through one more turn here. I know we're hitting close to an hour and a half. This looks like a better deal. If you think this offer isn't a fair deal, then you aren't seeing the big picture. We've already hacked your communications array. Know that you think we are some sort of primitive AI that can't assemble a good offer. I can assure you, this is a good deal. Take it. Okay. They want economic development from us. And they're going to give us open borders, space elevator, and extreme colonization. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I think we take that. Now, we got to be careful with the open borders because essentially we're saying we're going to allow their ships into our space. We'll hit done. So why does that matter? It matters because they can potentially... All right, let me reorient us here. Here's the Yor. They could come in and try and grab our resources. Now, the nearest resources in our space we just got. We got these two locked up. They can't take that away from us without taking over the starbase. But that also means we now need to get our constructors to this Durantium, and then we also need to protect this Solarium and this antimatter. So those are the 3 additional constructors we need pronto. And we are, in fact, working on them. Yeah, 2 more constructors in 5 turns. That's not bad. We've really gotten our income fixed up nicely. Let's advance the turn real quickly. Just looking in here to make sure we didn't get any new weird ships. There's a trade ship just jumped into Earth. You saw our influence bubbles expand. Here's the directed energy weapons. Beam weapons will deliver our will upon enemies at the speed of light. Yeah. But to make it feasible as ship scales, we require energy supplies, capacitors, culmination systems, and a variety of other related technologies. We will establish a dedicated field of research to begin tackling these challenges. And again, we know it's going to unlock the Cutter, the Intrepid, and it's going to give us a better beam weapon. Choose new tech. Where are we at here? We can get more weapons, railguns. We can get subspace streaming, which is ship range and movement. plus deep space sensors. It's not bad. Precursor archaeology allows us to gain more benefits from precursor relics and related technologies we encounter. Orbital precursor nanites unlock. Ancient Studies Center. Precursor worlds are more habitable. Those are all good, but 7 turns of research is a boatload. I'm not exactly sure what to go after at this point. Bear in mind, you could definitely play your civilization where you go hard into production or hard into research or hard into biology or influence, these influence ones. You know, I'm not doing that. I'm playing sort of a general game because we're kind of just in general looking at all aspects of the game with this playthrough, this in-depth tutorial. So, I don't know. I don't know that subspace streaming is going to give us all that much. I would love to be a match for the Yor. I'll be really honest with you. I'd love to be able to push back against them. What does Space Doctrine get us? Siege ships. Another policy unlocked. That's not bad. I really like this precursor one. Maybe we could very specifically go after precursor stuff. Question. Railguns is a lot cheaper. And it's good weaponry. Now let's go for the precursors. Let's do precursors in, maybe we focus on anything that's going to give us strategic resources and precursor stuff, starbase stuff. Maybe that's what we'll do. Is a thought. Okay, we do have that Harmony Crystal. That's what we were waiting for. We're going to jump into our Leaders tab. We are going to jump to our Governors. And we're going to click on Ulichi. We're going to give her a gift of a Harmony Crystal. Plus 10 loyalty. There you go. Popped her up to 40. She's no longer disloyal. Now, there's a cooldown on that. I can't do it again for 30 months. But over time, we can build up her loyalty. And we'll be generating Harmony Crystals as we harvest more and more of them. So that's not an unlimited resource, but it's a resource we have access to. I'll hit done. And I think we're about done. Let's just look, though, at Aluchi real quick. Now that she's loyal, it's showing the Governor's not loyal at a -3, and Governor's not loyal at a -3. So they'd like her to be more loyal, but it's not as big of a hit as it was before. And you can see, in fact, the approval on this planet is up to a total of 49%. That's not bad. It's a moderate. You see in yellow, the planet's approval is moderate, which is causing negative effects on population. Okay, but we're digging our way out of that hole, which is nice. It slightly has boosted our manufacturing is up to 2 instead of 1.9, 1.8, which it was sitting at. And again, of all of our colonies, that is the one that's just totally in the dumps on production. So that being said, the one thing I would like to get to a Lula Borealis would be a supply ship to help them along. If I jump into the forge, they're going to have that constructor done soon. Let's get a supply ship slotted in. So we want the constructor first, then we'll get the supply ship done. We'll send that off to a Lula Borealis when it's ready, and it will help jumpstart their economy. It's going to take 100 production, 100 hammers, and dump it into their economy on that planet. And we'll take one last look here before we clock off. You can see that a Lula Borealis is sliding further and further. They're at 18%, so it's a slow go. It's been a lot of turns. It'll be a long time before we flip that planet, but eventually we will flip it, indeed. And the Galactic Bazaar, Aurora Arboretum, Monsatium Deposit, in the Epithesium. We want that Monsatium. We're going to buy it for 40. Boom. It's ours. And I only say that because now when we look at Earth, we can now build the Kimberley's Refuge. We unlocked it by getting that one Monsatium deposit. So when we come back, we will look at beefing up our manufacturing more across all of our colonies. We're going to really stay on top of that to get a strong manufacturing base, and we're going to try and start grabbing as many of those galactic buildings, those galactic structures as we can, so that we are the single civilization that has access to them and no one else. All right, I think that is enough for today. That was a very long video. If anyone watched, thank you so much. Take care.